Hey everyone, welcome to What's New Andrew. Today we're going to take a look at how to expand storage on your virtual machine. I previously did a video on how to expand storage on an LXC container. It's linked up here somewhere. So this is going to be very similar to that, but I'm going to go a little bit further because I'm going to show you two ways to expand the storage. The first one is to expand just a portion of a hard drive for a virtual machine. So maybe you have one large hard drive and you want to share some capacity across different virtual machines. You can use this first method for that. The second one we're going to look at is how to pass the entire hard drive into a machine and not have it available or show up even in Proxmox to any other virtual machines. So if this is something that sounds useful for you, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Okay, the first way that we're going to look at was how to pass just a portion of a hard drive into a virtual machine. So to do that, within our Proxmox node, we're going to go down to disks. And we're going to look at all the disks that we have. If you notice, this is our first drive that we have. That's actually Proxmox and everything, all the storage for that. The second one, this is the USB drive that I have that I want to pass portions into different virtual machines. So for this one, if there's any partitions on it, go ahead and hit wipe disks. It will clear the disk, but we want to go ahead and clear those out. And then we'll go to ZFS and create a new ZFS pool. I'm just going to call this USB because it's a USB drive. And if you had multiple drives, you could set up a RAID here, whatever you want to do. I just have the single disk, so I'm going to do it with that and hit create. This will create the new drive. And over here to the left, you'll see it show up under your Proxmox node. So now we want to create a portion of it and set it aside and put it into a virtual machine. So to do that on this handy virtual machine I have here waiting for us, we'll go to hardware and we'll go up to add and then down to hard disk. And here you're going to see the different types. If you want to make it a SATA drive or a SCSI, I'm going to leave it at SCSI for this one. The storage that we want to have is the USB, the ZFS pool we just created. I'm going to give it 100 gigs. So out of that terabyte, we're going to get 100 gigs to this virtual machine. It's a regular hard drive, but if you're using an SSD, you might want to go ahead and check discard here. And then you can select under advanced if you want this to be backed up. So if you're using a large hard drive for something like Plex, you may want to back those files up somewhere else because you don't necessarily, on your snapshots at night when you're backing up Proxmox, which you should, you don't necessarily want to back that up every night. So we'll say no to backup there and hit add. And there you go. Now it's created it. It's attached it to the virtual machine. So that's all you have to do the attach. The next step, we're going to look at how to create the file systems and how to set up the mount points and everything like that so that you can actually start to use this drive. But first, we're going to look at how to do the second version, which is how to pass the entire drive through. So if that's not what you're interested in, if you just like passing just a portion of it through, you can skip this section and go to the end and learn how to do the file systems and everything. All right, for the second option, we're going to take a look at how to pass the entire drive into a virtual machine. So this we're going to take and create a new partition and pass that over. So first thing we want to do is in disks within your Proxmox node is make sure you don't have any partitions under it. So if you do, click on it and hit wipe disk. After that, we're going to go into the shell for the Proxmox node. We're going to type lsblk. That's going to show you the same kind of thing to make sure that you don't have any partitions showing up. And then we're going to type the following command, cfdisk/dev/sdb. Now, SDB is going to be potentially different on yours. It's whichever drive over here that you're using. You may have B, C, whatever it comes up as. So mine's SDB, so we'll hit enter. We're going to give it a GPT label on this one, so go ahead and hit enter again. And you want to create a new partition in here. I'm going to use the whole partitions or the whole size, so we'll hit enter. I'll go over to write and write that. Say yes, because I definitely want to write that. And then quit. And now when we type, I'll clear the screen, when we type lsblk again, now we see that it's created a partition here that's the full size of the drive. So what we need to do for the next command to be able to pass that partition into the virtual machine is we need to get the ID of that drive. So we'll type blk ID. And for SDB1, this is the ID we need. So this is what we need to pass in. So we're going to go ahead and type the following command and add that to the end so it passes that ID. Okay, here's the command that we need. It's qm set the ID number of your virtual machine. In my case, it's 100. That's what we want to connect it to. dash SATA, so it's a SATA drive type, and 0, meaning that's going to be the first of the drives that we're using for SATA. If you have a SATA drive already connected to it, then increment it by 1. So this would be 1 or 2 or 3. So we'll say SATA 0 and then /dev disk by part UUID. And this is where we put in the UUID that we just got. So go ahead and hit return, and it'll return and say it's updated that virtual machine with this. And we can go over to the virtual machine and click on hardware, and you'll see it in orange there now. So now it is connected that to the virtual machine. However, you are already running the virtual machine at this point, so we just need to reboot it so it can take those changes. So we'll go ahead and reboot it, and we'll go inside, and now we'll create the file systems and create the mount points. This is the same for both versions, whether you were passing just a portion of a drive in or whether you're doing the second option, which we just did, which passed the entire option or entire hard drive in. So we'll go ahead and walk through that now. Okay, now we need to create the file system for the drive, and we need to create a mount point for the drive to go into. So this is the same whether you did the portion of the drive or whether you map the whole drive in. Both of these are going to be the same way. So we're going to type lsblk, very familiar command, and we'll see that we have the drive that's been passed in. In this case, we're looking at the one where we passed the whole drive in, but it's the same whether you passed 100 gigs, 50 gigs, whatever it is. We've passed it in here. So now what we need to do is we need to actually create the file system so that we can use it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to type sudo fdisk/dev/sdb. And this is going to be able to create the new partition that we need. So if we say M here, you can get the menu of everything that we want to possibly look at. We're going to just say N for new, P for primary partition, and then we're going to just hit enter through these because we want it to use the entire partition or create the partition the entire size. So we'll go ahead and say W for write, and that'll go ahead and write it to the drive. So now if we type lsblk, we'll see that we've got a partition that's set up for it. So now we've got the partition set. That's what we're going to actually create the file system on and map into our drive. So to create the file system, we can do an ext3 or ext4 file system. I'm going to do ext4. So we'll do sudo mkfs-ext4/dev/sdb1. Now, if you want to do a SD or a ext3, you just leave the .ext4 off and it'll do ext3's file system for you. We'll hit enter. This is going to take a little while, especially if you have a large hard drive. So even though it's sitting there with a cursor that's blinking, it looks like it's not doing anything. It is doing stuff in the background. So let it finish. It's going to go through a couple of steps. And once you get back to the command prompt, you'll be ready to go to the next step. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create a mount point. This is going to be a folder on your system where we map that partition into so that you have access to be able to store things on it. So I'm going to call it media/USB. So I'll issue the command sudo make directory /media/USB. So there we go. We've created that folder. If we want to take a look at it, we can say df-h/media/USB, and that's going to give us the space. So if we look, it's only got 15 gigs. That's because that's the original space of the hard drive that we set up when we set up this virtual machine. We want to now take that 1 terabyte drive and map it into it. So to do that, we need to edit our fstab file. So we'll go in and we'll say sudo nano/etc/fstab. And inside this file, this is where we will tell it how to map things. We're going to say what we want to map, which is that SDB drive or that SDB partition. We want to map it into the folder we just created. So we'll say /dev/sdb1, which was the name of the partition. Yours may be different. So whatever your partition name is, we want to map that into /media/USB, which is the folder we just created. We then need to tell it that we're using ext4. If you used ext3, just put ext3 there. Then we'll say defaults 0 space 0. And that's it. And now every time you boot up, it'll automatically mount that partition that we had into the mount/US or the media/USB folder. So let's go ahead and reboot and take a look at the new drive size. Okay, we've rebooted, we've logged back into the machine, and now if we do a df-h/media/USB, we see that it's mapped in and it's the full terabyte now. So we've now taken that terabyte that we passed in, or 100 gigs or whatever it is you chose to map in. We've now attached it to that mount point, which in my case is the media/USB drive. And now you have access to that and you can use that folder as a full storage. So if you're using it for Plex, maybe you call it media/Plex or something similar. And that way you can reference that and increase the storage on your virtual machine. We used two different ways to do it today. We passed just a portion of a drive. That way you can use it between multiple different virtual machines. And the second option is we pass the entire drive in, so just that virtual machine is able to use it. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you got something out of it and liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks to everybody who's already subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.